Hey there, everyone. Today we have decided to create our own crash course to explain how individuals around the world are affected both positively and negatively by the International Division of Labor. This video is presented by Jason, Chris, Tyler, and Gabby. Also, a quick disclaimer, we aren't professional artists, and our drawings will likely reflect that. Anyways, we are going to be talking about things like individuals, social environment, technology, and the relationship between all of those things. To begin, our world is connected through a term known as social institutions, which are classified as family, education, religion, economics, and even government. Social institutions are patterns of behavior that function across an entire society. When discussing technology, we have to know that it has changed our lives, right? Well, if you think about it, it is the force that drives our everyday lives. I mean, take an iPhone for an example. An iPhone is a computer at our fingertips that has the ability to answer any question within seconds, while additionally allowing us as consumers to communicate with the world around us. We've become obsessed to the point that most can't even function without their phones. We no longer go on dates, or go to school, or even leave our homes to get proper groceries. Not only is it unnecessary, but technological advancement like these also decrease the motivation due to the convenience of the online realm. But who is the machine behind all of this? Was it Steve Jobs, or was it the hundreds of thousands of factory workers who put this device together? If you think about it, our iPhones are made of so many components from many different areas around the world. Specifically, these components come from the Southeast Asian area. Some of these items include cameras, storage, and OLED displays, which are mainly produced in Japan. Rare minerals are acquired from China and used to produce the iPhone's battery and phone chassis. Unfortunately, this profitable system has given the hardest working employees the short end of the stick, while management sits back and watches the money roll in. Companies like Apple stand by the idea that the lower the wage, the higher the production, meaning more money in and less money out. Produce and components that hegemon companies fund and invest in have the potential to influence the culture and society of the employed individuals on a global scale, making Apple earn
$1 million.
Well, you get the point. We can't go any further without discussing the German sociologist Karl Marx. You may have heard of him from his book, The Communist Manifesto, or a theory still being practiced today known as the conflict theory. What the conflict theory states is that our society is in a constant competition for limited resources, and with that holds a social order in which domination and power overrules consensus and conformity. Domination being the exercise of control or influence over someone, and in contrast, consensus defined as general agreement, allowing power and inequality to drive societal change. If you take a look long before we were around, during the medieval times, feudalism would be the word that best described a class of people that had the ability to not spend time concerned about where their next meal would come from. But you also had the peasantry who worked constantly to make food. In fact, they spent a lot of their time making food for the nobility. People were producing more than they needed to survive, and instead of those goods being equally distributed, the high nobility received all of those goods, while the peasants received enough food to barely survive. Although many may think this is natural, it actually is just a social constraint. Social constraint, like Marx argued, is the way labor is organized in today's society and leads to many inequalities. Relevant to technological advancements in society, we have management, development, and employees. Apple's management would be the CDO, the CFO, the CEO, or the COO, while development and employees follow behind. Employees are labeled in different categories, from retail all the way to foreign workers working globally together to create our handheld devices. So what does all of this mean? The effects of individuals around the world is not something to be taken lightly. Most of these workers are being swept under the rug. Employees working tireless hours and molding the work culture within production companies to impose normally unethical situations as an industry norm. This topic requires a closer look into the morality of global business and whether or not corporate values are skewed by the profits and growth. The news and other sources of information show us what we want to see, so we wait for the seminars that which one top-tier individual showcases the new iPhone technologies, while leaving the thousands of workers that contributed in major ways to struggle for their rent in the shadows. The impact and societal order is abusive, and companies remain inactive, leaving these problems off to the side. Companies like this pinch away at every penny they can for their own profit, leaving us more disconnected than ever. The prediction of 2050 is world changing. The goods we have so much of will be considered a rare luxury in the next 30 years. Many will lose their jobs and place them in the hands of technological advancements that we haven't even discovered yet. Presently, each individual component of our smartphones are interconnected with a global division of labor. These images are gruesome, and Apple and other companies remain without a response. So the real question is, where are you standing, and what are your opinions?